Hey guys, and welcome to a brand new video on the channel, and also welcome back to my chapel in Fort Frimfree. Still on the prayer grind, and still very much working through it to try and get to that 120. And in this video, that's what we're going to be talking about. We're going to talk about prayer skill and how I've trained prayer to 120. Now, prayer is pretty simple, and it's probably going to be one of the more easier videos I do out of this. And I'm pretty much going to make it a bit of a little mini series, is how I've trained each skill to 120. Through the methods I've done, how I've done it, and why I've done it a certain way. So this will be going through all the different forms of how I've trained prayer as well. So we're going to start with the first one, and that's basically what I'm doing here now. So the first one is your standard basic, double burners, and your gilded altar. Now, originally, I did mine through the player-owned house, and that's probably where I got 99 from. And then because we now have it available at Fort Frimfree, I do it here basically because it's a quicker bank, and because I've also added the load previous preset. It's even quicker now just to run back and forward to the bank and just keep throwing the bones on the altar. Now, the XP isn't near the level of the burials or using the burial powder, but it's nice in AFK for me, and I don't have to spam my keyboard and lose the will to chop a finger off. But this is how I've trained prayer pretty much for 99, but through the player and house method, utilizing a yak, maybe getting runners and stuff like that. But this is how I've trained 99 prayer. The method I've just mentioned as well is probably what I've done for about 5 to 10 mil, and that's using powder of burials. Powder of burials, which is actually very cheap at the minute. I think it's something like 170k. You can use that, and once you use that, you have the ability to bury bones for the same XP as what you would get using a player-owned house altar with some burners as well. So it means it's very much a skill which you can do at a bank. You can get buffs on World 84 from cinders and pulse cores, and all the other stuff like the scepters and the rock and stuff like that, and really rack up your bonus XP on top, but it is a lot more intensive. Now, really, these are the main two ways of being able to train prayer with utilizing bones. So either you can use the altar or you can use the powder burials. Now, it really depends which one you want. Powder burials is by far quicker, but it is a lot more intensive. And it does give you the ability as well to actually access the buffs from bank standing on a portable world, or stuff like that. So it can actually save you money in the long run because of the amount of extra XP you're getting due to it. And that's probably the way, if you wanted to get something like 92 or 99 prayer, that's the way I would suggest, because it's a lot more quicker and you're saving a lot of time. Now, other methods you can do the cleansing crystals in Perfinis. And not only that as well, cleansing crystals actually work on a bonus XP. The majority of prayer actually doesn't work on a bonus XP because you're getting the buff of the bonus XP from an altar or the altar benefits anyway. However, the cleansing crystals does get that XP, whereas all the other methods do not. So you could actually look at saving a considerable amount of money for prayer, because prayer is expensive on a bonus XP doing cleansing crystals. Now, something I've done for a huge part of my prayer XP as well, which kind of went under the radar, is using the passive ways of training prayer. Now, these are things which don't really get mentioned a lot, but once you have access to them and use them for your Slayer tasks, they really do rack up. And especially for me, I trained 200 mil Slayer with 50,000 Edemus and a lot of Absol Demons, and these will drop ashes. So for those tasks, some of the things I made sure to take to those tasks was the Ectoplasmator, which is a reward. I can't remember where you get it from. I don't know if it's from the Exofungus, or if you go and kill some monsters in the Slayer Tower in Canathis, you can get it from there. And then basically you just need to use Ectoplasm, and then you can turn that to an Ectoplasmator. Basically what that works as is a Bone Crusher for your ashes, and as well the Bone Crusher is another method. So the 3 I used for Slayer were Infernal Urns, which buried your ashes for you, the Ectoplasmator, which also buried your ashes for you in a slightly different way, and the Bone Crusher as well, just to bury any bones. Between all these 3, I probably gained the best part of 15 mil prayer XP, just because of how I trained Slayer. Now, admittedly, how I trained Slayer was not the best and most efficient method for Slayer, but it's what I wanted to do to train Slayer. But the massive benefits I got from using these 3 items consistently for Slayer, and if you're going to do 120 Slayer as well, I presume you're going to do that before you get 120 prayer. It's going to save you a massive chunk of money from training prayer. It's going to earn you a massive chunk of money from doing Slayer. And it's just beneficial, especially for the Bone Crusher. You can have that item in your tool belt, and it's used all the time. And the Ectoplasmator and the Urns, once you've got them into your presets, they're going to come with you on all those tasks as well. And things like Absol Demons, especially like the Absol Lords and the Absol Beasts now, especially if you're training Necromancy and Absol Beasts, which is by far the best way to train, in my opinion, you have the possibility to get like a lot of free prayer XP just by taking an Ectoplasmator. So it's definitely something I'd be looking to unlock, especially at the lowest level possible, because things now drop ashes, which didn't used to drop ashes before. And the Bone Crusher as well is still one of the best unlocks from Dungeoneering. Now, with the Ectoplasmator and the Bone Crusher, especially if you're going to be training Slayer, you can use that in conjunction with a Demon Horn necklace or a different form of necklace from the Dungeoneering shop And that will actually give you infinite prayer as well. So not only is it going to give you prayer XP, you don't have to pay money for prayer potions. So really, really good combo, which goes understated for training prayer. And certain Iron Men as well can use that for Frost Dragon Bones. Frost Dragon Bones with the Powder Burials, with the Bone Crusher, can actually be a viable way to train prayer itself without actually having to bury bones, with the benefit of a little bit of combat XP on the side as well. But those are pretty much all the methods I've used to train prayer. So again, just to go over them really quick, we've got player-owned house using the altar, as well as the Fort Frimfree altar. And these will be with 2 burners lit with Marintil. We've got the Powder Burials burying its bank, using all the buffs as well to save considerable amounts of money with bonus XP. And then we've got the 3 items which I use in conjunction with Slayer, the Infernal Urns, Bone Crusher, Ectoplasmator, and then finally, in Profinus, there is the Cleansing Crystals in the Heffin area. All these methods I've used sort of roughly bits and pieces to train prayer, the majority of which has been done with the altar, with the Powder Burials, and also with those 3 items for Slayer. Those 3 items for Slayer probably saved me the best part of 15 to 20 mil prayer XP. Don't get me wrong, it was used in conjunction with a little bit of bonus XP, or if I use lamps and stuff like that, they would have added a little bit of XP as well. But they really, really did help. Now, the big thing about prayer is picking your bone. Now, bones really do depend on what rate you're looking for, and also, more importantly, how much money you're willing to spend. Now, prayer, to a point, is a little bit cheaper than it used to be. It's always been one of the most expensive skills in the game, and I think it always will be. But understanding how much bones and ashes as well, ashes can be used on an altar, and are actually probably the best GP per XP using on a gilded altar. Something I kind of missed actually. Infernal ashes are incredibly cheap, and even though you can use them with Ectoplasmator, if you want to buy them on a Grand Exchange, you can use them on a gilded altar, and they are such good GP per XP. But picking your ash or bone is really the big decision on A, how much you want to spend and how quick you want the XP. So what we're going to do is go over to the wiki, the faithful wiki, to go over things like XP rates and bone prices, and just sort of explain that sometimes that buying and this is going to go kind of against what I normally say, buying a more expensive bone can be cheaper on the long run depending on how good of a moneymaker you have access to. And when it comes to GP per XP sort of cost, this is what you need to sort of look into and see if it's relevant as well. So let's say if you could make 20 mil per hour in cash, and you have a choice between Dragon Bones, which is 5 mil per hour, or Dagonoth Bones, which is 10 mil per hour, it is more worthwhile for you to do the Dagonoth Bones because they are more XP, because you can make 20 mil per hour rather than save 5 mil per hour with Dragon Bones. And that's sort of how you need to work out what's the best method for you, is how much you can make and what you need to do to make that money back. So let's hop to the wiki and we can go through it now. Right, so this is what we're going to focus on. So here we have the XP for the Exophile, which is something we're not really interested in. The player-owned house, which is pretty much the same as burials. So this is what we're interested in, as well as cost. So this will work out a cost per hour, and then we can scroll up and look at the GP per XP as well, just to go through that. So Dragon Bones, with a player-owned sort of house like this, you're looking at 272k per hour. And with the price of Dragon Bones here, 2.1k, relatively cheap, pretty good deal. But you can see for 40k less, you're spending considerably less per hour actually doing ashes. So if you're in the position I am, ashes are probably the better move, because you're going to be getting similar XP, a little worse, but you're going to be saving the best part of like 6.1 mil per hour just by doing ashes instead. And ashes are probably the method I would recommend a lot of people to do if they wanted 92 prayer on the cheap, or 95 prayer on the cheap. If they've got methods to make money a bit better, again, someone like Archelator will pay for prayer training quite easily and many times over as well. But again, you need to work out what sort of access you have, how much you can make per hour, and what you're willing to spend as well. Because as you can see here, like Aerith Bones is 500k XP per hour, and that's 10k for a bone. Whereas Orc Bones, admittedly, they are a little bit more rare. 43k for that. Novo is not really an option to train prayer. And Frost Dragon Bones at 680 is 27k. Is that really worth 17k more per bone just for 140k XP? That's up to you and what you have access to, but it's definitely worth checking out as well. Although Dinosaur Bones do seem to be a bit of a steal at 17k. And Dragonkin Bones to a point as well. 600k XP per hour and like 15, 17k. But then you see like roughly like prayer can rack up massively per hour. So to use Dragonkin Bones on a player-owned house per hour is 16.5k. Ecto, I wouldn't really pay attention to because it's going to take so long and you're actually not going to get that XP. You can see like the level of XP Ecto because you've got to grind the bones. Just not worth it. Don't do it. It might be cheaper long run, but the amount of time you're going to sink into it, just not worth it. So going up here, it actually gives you a GP per XP as well of the player own house. And then this just helps like to make a decision of what you're roughly looking to. So for every XP, this is how much GP you're going to have to spend. So for 100 mil per XP with Dragon Bones, you're going to be looking at something like 2.7 bill. So this is where it really puts into context like just how cheap certain things are. So really, Dragon Bones aren't really that bad at 10.5 GP and XP. But Infernal Ashes at 4.4 GP and XP really is very, very good. Now, don't get me wrong, it's going to take a lot longer to do it, and if you've got the money to burn and you're more than happy to, look at going at your high tier stuff because you'll just get prayer done 3 times quicker. These 2 methods are 3 times slower than these 2 methods, and it's just that jump in GP per hour. If you can cover it and you're happy to spend it, by all means, definitely go for it. You'll save the time and you'll definitely make more money in the long run. But yeah, that is basically how I train prayer. That's how I come to the decision of what I'm doing. The reason I've gone for Dragon Bones is A, because I sort of bought them as a flip and they haven't worked as well. And from Market Watch, you can probably tell I'm nowhere near the point I need to sell them at. So the reason I do Dragon Bones is basically I bought them really cheap. I bought them at something like 1.7k. So I am in profit. And even though, like I mentioned in my Market Watch every week, I can sell them for a profit. I just kind of hoped it'd be a bit more than 2.1k. Don't get me wrong, I'm very much of a mind now where I don't mind training prayer. It's actually quite chill just to do. If I want to, I can like sell the bones and upgrade to a higher tier. I'm just quite happy to do Dragon Bones if I'm honest. I've got a lot of bonus XP. Even though I'm doing Dragon Bones, it's going to feel like I'm doing Dragon Bones because of the bonus XP I've got. But it might be something we do if we're in a push or in a rush anyway to do this. Now, another reason I've gone for Dragon Bones as well is because I want to train fletching through the God Arrows. It's going to take a bit of a money sink. So I've kind of looked at sort of a balance off. By doing Dragon Bones, I can do the God Arrows as well. So that's my thinking anyway. But that is how I've trained prayer for 120. It's probably how I'm going to train prayer for 200 mil. Don't underestimate those Slayer items because those Slayer items are going to save you a lot of money in the long run. And it's definitely why I'd look at picking up, especially like the Bone Crusher at a very, very early stage. That's why I get Bone Crusher as early as I can, because it will have an impact over the life of your account, and it's definitely something which will save you money in the long run as well. But I hope you guys enjoyed. If you do enjoy these kind of videos, please let me know, because I'm more than happy to go and do the rest of my skills of how I've trained to 120, what the XP rates were like, how I've gone on with it, what I've done, why I've done it as well. Now don't get me wrong, my methods probably won't be the most optimal in the game. Like for prayer, the most optimal method in the game was by Rune Dragon Bones and just hammer them on World 84 with all the buffs. But that's not what I'm doing. I'm doing a method which suits my style of play more, what I want to do, and what I'm more interested in anyway. But yeah, let me know if you want to see it, and I'm more than happy to do the rest of the skills to 120, or all the skills I've got to 120 anyway, with like little updates of how I've done it and why I've done stuff as well. But if you guys have enjoyed, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys very soon in the next video.